The style of riding was so different almost 100 years ago when Evanston won their first basketball state championship in 1919. A couple of newspaper stories have been discovered, one in the Laramie publication, which I believe was the Boomerang then, as it is now. The Evanston story was published in the Wyoming Times. And perhaps we'll throw on an old-style AM radio effect to this narration.
State Basketball Tournament. The headline: Evanston boys win state championship. The result: Evanston High School 1919 state champions. Their awards: large silver loving cup and gold basketballs for watch fobs for the individual players. Rock Springs High School, second place, and their awards: small silver loving cup and silver basketballs for the individual players. Laramie High School, third place. Their awards: a large Wyoming pennant and smaller pennants for the individual players. The Evanston team arrived in Laramie at 9:15 Thursday morning, being the last team to arrive, and were met at the train by the Laramie team and taken to private homes. They found 11 teams entered for the basketball tournament. At 11 a.m., the drawing for opponents for the first game was held, the first two teams drawn being Laramie and Lander, and to them fell the honor of opening the tournament at 2 p.m. The next two teams drawn were Evanston and Torrington, and these teams played the second game of the tournament, with Evanston winning 32-25. In all, 4 games were played that afternoon, and in the evening, work was resumed, and the first series completed when the University Preps, Cheyenne, and Douglas High Schools played 3 games in a 3-cornered series, in which the Preps team won 2, Cheyenne lost 2, Douglas lost 1, and won 1 game. Just prior to the beginning of these games, the drawing for the second series was held, and play commenced immediately. Rock Springs played Torrington, defeating them. This the second defeat for Torrington, disqualifying them from further play. Pine Bluffs and Worland followed, the latter losing and also being disqualified. At the end of the first day's play, 3 teams, Cheyenne, Worland, and Torrington, had been disqualified, leaving 8 teams in competition. The next afternoon, games were continued, the first one being Lander and Evanston, which the latter won 21-20, disqualifying Lander. The second series ended that afternoon, and 1 game of the third series, Rock Springs versus Pine Bluffs, was played, and at the close of the second series, Lander and Douglas had been eliminated, leaving 6 teams. In the third series, Evanston played the University Preps on Friday evening, decisively defeating and eliminating them by a score of 37-13. The night's play left only 2 teams undefeated, Rock Springs and Evanston, but left in the running Laramie, Wheatland, and Pine Bluffs, who had each suffered 1 defeat. What is known as the semifinals was then played that afternoon. The drawing reunited in Evanston and Rock Springs, being pitted against each other for the first game. Pine Bluffs, Wheatland, and Laramie were in a 3-quarter series in which Wheatland and Pine Bluffs were eliminated. Evanston then defeated Rock Springs 28-21, being the only team without a defeat. For the finals played that evening, Evanston, Rock Springs, and Laramie, the last 2 with 1 defeat each, remained. Evanston decisively defeated both her opponents and was awarded the state championship. Rock Springs nosed out Laramie by 1 point, 10-9, and was awarded second place. The total number of games played was 22, and the Evanston team's 73 baskets to 39 made by our opponents showed that the victories were decisive. The victories were by the work of the team as a whole, rather than any individual, but there were some good points deserving special mention, in which Harris and McAllister took part. As is customary, 2 all-state teams, a first and a second team, were selected by the University Preps team, and the players chosen are supposed to be the best in the state in their particular position. Frank Brown was unanimously chosen as center on the first team, and McAllister was placed on the second team. Following is the lineup of the two All-State teams. First team forward, Hedgewald, Laramie. Forward, Thompson, University Preps. Center, Frank Brown, Evanston. Guard, Ellis, Lander. Guard, Wayne, Wheatland. Second team, forward, McAllister, Evanston. Forward, Dankowski, Rock Springs. Center, Swain, Cheyenne. Guard, Rankin, Laramie. Guard, Anderson, Torrington. Myers and Reed doing their bit, and it must be given credit for helping win the cup, awarded Evanston, which is now being engraved in Laramie, and on its arrival here will be placed upon exhibition at Goodman and Chrisman, the local jewelers. Particular mention and praise must be accorded Superintendent Bowler, who coached the Evanston team to the successful and brilliant event, as this was the first time the championship has come to our city, and we are proud of that fact and of all concerned. 3 cheers for Bowler and the high school champions. Substitutes for Evanston were Lloyd Goodman and Alf Reeves. There was a parade Monday evening for the basketball team, and the dance given in their honor at Normandy Hall was one of the most attractive socials of the season, and attended by nearly 400 high school students and others. Press Brown gave an interesting talk, as also did Mr. Bowler. Punch was served and excellent music furnished by the Walton 7-piece orchestra. The hall was attractively decorated with pennants and streamers of the high school color.
Which we should point out were not red and blue, but rather, at that time, purple and white. And in all the write-ups, the common thread is the teams were just referred to in reference of their high school. No monikers or mascots were part of the newspaper stories. It's believed Evanston became known as the Red Devils in 1933 or 1934.